Have you ever sat your autistic or ADHD child down for the talk, determined to cover everything from puberty to privacy, and 5 minutes later they're staring at the wall, completely zoned out? I'm CATH HAKANSON, a nurse, sex educator, and autistic mum of two neurodivergent kids, and I've seen this pattern hundreds of times. So you're not alone. Most parents, we try to squeeze too much in at once, especially when we're feeling anxious or trying to get it right. But look, here's the truth. Overloading, it isn't good teaching. It's panic disguised as preparation. And today I want to show you why breaking big, tricky topics into smaller chunks isn't just easier, it's better teaching. And let's start with why our kids shut down when we over-explain. Neurodivergent kids, they process information differently. They're literal, they're detail focused, and they can get overwhelmed by too much at once. I know I do. When we give too many ideas in one chat, they can't tell which bits are most important, so they tune out. And if your child looks bored or distracted, that's not defiance, that's cognitive overload. Want to see what this looks like in real life? Let me share a quick story. I remember when my son suddenly started smelling like a teenager overnight. I panicked and thought, right, sweat glands, deodorant, hormones, hygiene. We need to talk about all of it. But then I stopped myself. That's 5 different topics. So instead, we just talked about deodorant, what it does, when to use it, and how to put it on. And a week later, we chatted about washing clothes and how it's important to wash them because they get too smelly under the armpit. And then another week later, we talked about hair washing because that too gets smelly if you don't wash it enough as you go through puberty and become an adult. But I guess what I'm getting at is because we did it in small chunks, he actually remembered. No meltdowns, no awkwardness, just calm, honest learning. So how do you keep them engaged and actually help the message to stick? Let's talk about chunking. Chunking simply means breaking complex conversations into smaller, repeatable parts, one clear message at a time. You might talk about what changes happen in puberty one day and how to manage them another day. Each chat adds a new layer of understanding. And here's the thing, repetition, it isn't overkill, it's how learning really does happen. Most kids, especially neurodivergent kids, learn best with familiar information, delivered calmly and often. And that's not dumbing it down, it's teaching the neuro-affirming way. I once worked with a mum who talked about erections 4 times before her child could explain it back in their own words. And when they finally did, the pride on both their faces was priceless. So, how do you decide what to start with and how do you know when to stop before you overload them? Start with what's relevant right now. If your child's asking about deodorant, start there. If they're curious about erections or body privacy, that's your focus. Give one clear message, check for understanding by asking, so can you tell me that? In your own words, and then stop. And if you're exhausted at the end of a talk, you've done too much. The goal isn't completion, it's connection. And you don't need the perfect talk. You just need a series of imperfect ones. And each short, honest chat, it builds safety and trust. And your child will learn far more from 5 short conversations than one epic lecture, trust me. I remember when my daughter asked, why do people kiss? I nearly launched into a whole thing about love, attraction, and relationships. But then I stopped myself. And I just said, it's one way grown-ups show affection. That was all she needed that day. Simple, clear, and enough. So as we wrap up, let's bring it all together. Chunking conversations isn't cutting corners. It's teaching smarter. One topic, one message, one success at a time. So this week, I want you to pick one puberty topic, deodorants, periods, masturbation, whatever feels right for you, and start there. You don't have to do it perfectly, you just have to start. And if you've picked masturbation, click the video on the screen now to learn how to talk about it in a shame-free, straightforward way.